Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday's ESPN FC Live. Mark Donaldson, Stevie Nicol, Mark Ogden, Luis Miguel, Echegaray. We're going to be talking a lot of balls over the next half hour. Not just Mikel Arteta complaining that the Puma ball is not like the Nike ball that they use in the Premier League, but also we're going to start with our crystal ball and our predictions for the year 2025. So let's start with Augie. Is Pep Guardiola still Manchester City boss on December 31st, Augie? What say your crystal ball?
Well, as we know, he's got a contract extension which takes him to the end of the 26-27 season. But I'm not convinced he'll be there to see that out. But will he be there at Christmas or will he be there at the end of this year? I think it's 50-50. But if you're going to push me, I'd say that Pep might leave this summer, either before the Club World Cup or that might be his farewell. But I do think that I'm more convinced that Pep might not be there next year than people think he might be.
Wow. Okay. So, Stevie Nicol, there's a lot to talk about. The Liverpool trio of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah. They're all out of contract in the summer. Where do you think each of them will be playing their football when this calendar year ends?
Oh, do you think Trent's going to Real Madrid or what? Absolute certainty. I don't think there's any doubt Trent Alexander-Arnold will be going to Real Madrid. The other two, I'm kind of a little bit like Augie. I'm a bit 50-50 on the other two. I mean, Mo Salah, who never speaks to any press, has recently come out a couple of times and mentioned his contract, which to me kind of smells a little bit like, you know, come and offer me something. So I think both of them could possibly stay at Liverpool. I think there's no question. I think it's 99% that Trent Alexander's gone and it's Real Madrid. However, the other two, I think both want to stay, and it just depends if Liverpool can come up with probably the years as opposed to the money.
Do you think that Trent's performance against Manchester United is just a blip? Because the body of evidence suggests, yeah, we all have those days from time to time. Or do you think there's a concern, given how confident you are that he's off to Real Madrid, that might start to kind of play on his mind and you might not see the Trent Alexander-Arnold that you normally see playing for Liverpool?
I think absolutely the weekend, some of that was on his mind. He's never been as bad as that. Listen, we know he can't defend. That's nothing new. Surprise, surprise, he can't defend. We know that. But the way he was trying to pass the ball kind of just smelled of his mind was somewhere else. And when I say somewhere else, you know, it doesn't take an awful lot to knock a footballer off when there's a big thing going on in your head that probably is swirling about in his probably every day. And the fact that the conditions were poor, which actually made it difficult to pass the ball. And so when you're looking to get 10 out of 10 every time you play a pass, you know, you're not looking to play easy passes. He's always looking for that killer ball. And it just went wrong so many times that by the end of the game, not only was his defending horrible, but his passing was horrible. But I think there's no question. It's on his mind. And it definitely affected him. But he just had a poor game as well. And he can't defend. Surprise, surprise.
Okay. Continuing the crystal ball theme. LME. Are Peruvian crystal balls better than other crystal balls? Or how does it work before you get your question?
Well, they're not made of crystal in Peru, I'll tell you that much. It's something a little different. They're a little cheaper as well. And we're not always correct either. But hey, okay. we make them regardless.
Okay. Well, look into your one from Lima or wherever and tell me who the Champions League final is between at the end of May at the Allianz Arena in Munich.
I love this one. Well, I did. There is a piece that I wrote on some of these predictions, and I actually begin with this very topic. So thank you, Mark Donaldson, for giving me this one. Listen, let me just say that the league phase, given the competitive nature on it, regarding the fact that there's revolving opponents every match day, I do think that this is the season that you'll see an interesting, unique final. It's just my prediction. I could be completely wrong, but it's what I think. I think that Liverpool's attention to the Premier League might require a little bit more focus from the domestic standpoint, given the avenues to somebody else. I think that even if Man City make it through all this and they beat PSG or they make it further than the round of 16, I still see a unique final here. So I against a conventional nature of what's going on with the narrative of Arsenal, I do think somebody like Arsenal can make the final. I think Bukayo Saka will return sooner rather than later. I think they've been playing really well, continentally speaking, this season. And then my other side of it, because I think that they're going to finish the league phase in a good way, I see Atalanta there as well.
Wow.
I think that this is an opportunity for two very unique finalists. I could be wrong, but I think the narrative remains. I think that given the change of format and the way that some of these teams are structured, both domestically and in Europe, we could see two different types of unique finals.
I'm glad you mentioned the change of format, because, Augie, you could end up with a blockbuster kind of knockout round clash in the early stages, kind of February, March time, with Manchester City not struggling, but they've got 2 games left. They'll probably get through, but the likelihood is they could face another big gun in the playoffs. So with that in mind, and bearing in mind what LME said, so he's gone Arsenal against Atalanta. What are you thinking from a Champions League final perspective in May?
I still think it was the big guns. Kind of contrary to what LME was saying. I think it's always the same. I mean, obviously, Borussia Dortmund were a bit of an outlier last season, but I just think that Liverpool looking so good at the moment. I think that they have got that ability. Anfield is a massive factor as well in the Champions League. I think Liverpool will be hard to beat. I think Real Madrid, even though they're having a bit of an indifferent season, again, hard to beat. They know what to do in the Champions League. So for me, if they avoid each other in the draw, that is the final for me, Liverpool, Real Madrid. But obviously, things can happen. They can get each other in the quarterfinals, the semi-final stage. So if you're looking for a team that could maybe upset that pack a little bit, and it's not really an upset, I'm saying Bayern Munich, because it's the finals in Munich, and I think that will just have an extra bit of pull. Inter Milan, maybe, but again, I don't know if Inter could be. They are well organised. I'm not sure they'd beat the Reals or the Liverpool. So I'm going to say Liverpool, Real Madrid, but with a kind of a bit of a side bet on Bayern Munich.
Okay, Stevie Nicol, who are Liverpool beating to win their 7th European Cup in May?
I mean, it's so difficult. Listen, you can see where LME comes up with that, because, you know, apart from the weekend against Man United, Liverpool's the only so-called top team on the planet that really have shown what they're capable of on a consistent basis. Everybody else, whether it's Bayern or Real Madrid or Barca even Arsenal and Atalanta right now aren't at the best. So it's real difficult. I'm with Augie. I just think that you have to stick with the big boys. It's 99 times out of 100, it's the big boys, and they're really, by the time the turn of the year, well, we're in it now, but when it comes to the business end, that's when the big boys come to the fore and show what they're made of, particularly Real Madrid. And so I'm going with Augie. I'm going to go that it's going to be a couple of the big boys, whether it's Liverpool, Madrid, or somebody else, but it's going to be a named team anyway, in my opinion.
Okay. Next up, Augie, Amorim and Postecoglou together. Will they both still be in charge of Man United and Spurs as we enter January the 1st, 2026?
Well, I mean, I think Ruben Amorim will definitely be at Man United. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think, obviously, he's suggesting they might be in a relegation fight. He's saying some very kind of honest things right now. But I think that he will turn a corner. I think we saw at Anfield at the weekend, the 2-2 draw, that there's a kind of a bit of a kernel of a team there that he's building at United. He seems to have settled on certain key positions and players. He just needs to get a few players out and get some more in. But I do think we've got the idea of what he wants to do. So I think he'll be back. I think he'll be fine. But Ange Postecoglou, look, they've got a massive game against Liverpool tonight in the first leg of the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. They've got a horrible FA Cup tie away at Tamworth at the weekend, which they should win. But I mean, that's the game you don't want to get if you're a Premier League team. And they've got Arsenal in the North London derby next week, so he might not even see the end of the month. Never mind the end of the year. So I think Big Ange might be getting the big elbow at some point. I don't think he's going to see out the year at Tottenham. I just think it's gone sour, and I don't think there's a way back for him.
I think that's a stretch, Augie. You don't want Tamworth. I think that's a little bit of a stretch.
Obviously, you think you can beat them. Well, yeah, all right. But can you imagine Can you imagine Spurs going to Tamworth in the form that they could be in if they get beat tonight at Liverpool? That, I mean, we all talk about Tottenham, you know, Spurs, you this. Tamworth away. Come on.
I'll give you 1,000 to 1 then.
What's that?
I'll give you 1,000 to 1.
Did you not have Arsenal betting against them for top 4 last season, Stevie? How did that go? Careful with 1,000 to 1.
I can't remember. That was too long ago.
But Oggie's point on Tottenham, I do echo that with Postecoglou, because the original question that you asked, Andy, who do you see either by the end of the year? I agree. I think Ruben Amorim stays. Postecoglou, my issue, and we have said this already on this show, I think Daniel Levy has a list already. I'm not saying that he's gone tomorrow, but Daniel Levy has a list. Here's the issue with Postecoglou and Tottenham. Obviously, Tottenham fans want a trophy, right? Something they haven't had in 16 years. And if they win the Carabao Cup, that's great. But it could go the Eric Ten Hag way, right? You win the Carabao Cup, but you continue to show inconsistencies and struggles, in the league. And here's Tottenham's biggest problem. Are you going to be loyal to the system of Ange Postecoglou, or are you going to try and be loyal to the fact that you're trying to move on and finally become a consistent top 4 club? Because they are mutually exclusive with Ange Postecoglou, because their system is not going to change under Ange Postecoglou. And Heung-min Son, as much as a star he has been throughout the seasons, and he just got an extension, he will be 34 this summer as well. Or 33, I believe. So, you can't fully rely on just him. There's a lot to be fixed. So I'm going with the fact that Postecoglou, I'm with Oggie. He'll be gone this summer, I think.
You know what gets me about Ange? It's when he came in at Tottenham, it was the kind of the cliched breath of fresh air. He was honest. He was different. But now it's just the other way completely. At the weekend, he's saying that, just yesterday, Mo Salah wouldn't score many goals in this team. Well, if you're a Tottenham player or you're a fan, you're thinking, well, what's that supposed to mean?
Yeah, what's the point of that? Yeah,
I won't score many goals for us. Well, thanks for that, Ange. Thanks for. I won't mind being a motivational talk in your dressing room. But yeah, Mo Salah won't score many goals for us.
By the way, Elimi, I know you spend a fair bit of time in London, but Angie, she used to be married to Dirty Den in EastEnders. That's not the name of the Spurs coach. By the way, Stevie,
you love to correct me every episode.
You said it 3
single
times.
Time.
No.
Let's go to ESPN Deportes for 1 week together. Let's do an episode in Spanish. And let's
I struggle with English. Just don't worry about that. By the way, I know I spent 2 years with you, Stevie, writing your book, and I should know the answer to this. As far as FA Cup upsets are concerned, the boys have been mentioning Tamworth. Is Wimbledon the biggest upset that you were part of, even though they were in the same league, or was there one that's just forgotten and I can't remember?
Probably Bolton at home. 91, 92 maybe, one of the soonest.
Bristol City, were you there for that one as well?
No, I wasn't there for the Bristol City one. No, I think I'd gone by then. But no, I think Bolton was the biggest upset. I think certainly at Anfield that I was involved in.
Was that the Owen Coyle days when they had Burnden Park and the supermarket at the back? Yeah,
okay. Yeah. The Wimbledon. See, people forget Wimbledon were actually 6th or 7th in the
they were all right
division then. Wimbledon were a decent team, tough to play against, all the old cliches, but they actually finished 6th or 7th in the league that season. So, this is not like losing to Tamworth or a 2nd or 3rd division side. So,
okay,
yeah, not quite that bad.
I don't know if anyone has ever gone from Tamworth to the Ballon d'Or, but that's what we're going to do with our crystal ball continuation.
By the way, can I say, I went to Tamworth. I went to Tamworth.
Yeah,
it was
just above Birmingham.
Yeah. It was the first game that Wrexham had under the. It was the start of the Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney era, and I was at Tamworth. The ground is called the Lamb. So if you're a Tottenham fan, lambs to the slaughter, it doesn't bode well. Does it?
Come on, you've got those headlines are already.
He specifically asked to be on the show just so he could
say that. So from Tamworth to who's winning the Ballon d'Or this year, Stevie Nicol?
My goodness.
Who's Tamworth's captain?
Wow.
Who are the contenders? Who do you think deserves to win the Ballon d'Or this year?
Who's the contenders? Listen,
it's going to be your boy,
if Liverpool win the Premier League, then Mo Salah is going to be the top scorer. But when you start looking around, I mean, there's all the usual suspects aren't exactly lighting it up. I mean, look at Mbappe at Madrid. I mean, right now we're talking about is he getting close to his best? Never mind, is he a Ballon d'Or winner? Vinny Jr. can he stay on the field? Barcelona are struggling. I mean, honestly, I don't think are there really any genuine contenders that you're sticking your neck out and saying this guy is going to be fantastic? I'm really struggling to come up with any. And I read this question yesterday, and between yesterday and now, I'm still struggling. I mean, it's not going to be a vintage year. Put it that way.
Well, I think you start with Salah and you're like, who's been better than him, and you work it like that, because right now he seems to be the number one candidate for a form player. Speaking of legendary footballers, next question for LME, and it's to do with someone you've written a book on, Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo. One of them's going to be 40 come the end of the year. The other's going to be 38. Are they both still playing?
Well, technically, literally speaking, Messi won't still be playing because MLS will be off season. But let's focus on Lionel Messi for a second. I think that, and this one again, I had in this piece. I think that Inter Miami, romantically speaking, maybe Inter Miami win MLS Cup, and he will ponder retirement because he has talked about it before. Because the move to Miami for him has been also mainly really be about family and just being happy. And so I think that part of it, he will ponder it. But I think that he will, because Jorge Mas, the co-owner of Inter Miami, is pushing so much to making sure that he remains the centerpiece when Miami Freedom Park opens in 2026, Inter Miami's stadium, which will be actually in the Miami vicinity and not Fort Lauderdale, and the fact that the 2026 World Cup will be part of it as well. I think Messi will still be playing, yes. And Cristiano Ronaldo, I think it's a LeBron James thing. I think he really will just probably play until he's in his mid-40s, honestly. I think he sees himself at the World Cup as well, at the Men's World Cup. And I think both will still be playing, yes, even with Ronaldo pushing for maybe 3-4 more years and just staying in Saudi Arabia, I think.
Okay, before we get to transfer talk, there is one more prediction that the three of you have to make, and it's one that I've added in with the permission of producer Sam. Augie, I'm going to start with you. How does Stevie Nicol celebrate when Liverpool win their 20th title in May?
What are the options?
Many.
That's a good question. I don't know. Well, which May are we talking about? This May or the year after or the year
this
after that?
May.
Because it's only halfway through the season, and Steve will say, it's a marathon, not a sprint. There's a long way to go. I'm not giving them the title just yet. So, Steve, you don't want to make any plans just right now.
Oh, LME?
I don't know. Is there a local spot where we can have some good haggis and, just relax?
There's a British store not far from where we live. I think, but apparently he's not allowed to go there anymore. Stevie, tell us, how will you celebrate when Liverpool win the title this May?
We'll start off with a fist, then it'll be a beer, followed by shepherd's pie.
I was close, right?
Fantastic.
And he's gone.
Stevie!
That's a mic drop.
Gone. I'll start off with that.
You mic dropped.
Did you just punch your phone and knock it out? Oh, unbelievable.
I have no idea what happened.
Stevie's back. Okay, I was hoping for a bit more from that question, but we got something. We got the shepherd's pie, and that's all that matters.